Welcome to our Crucifixional live stream. Glad to have you beautiful people with us today. We are talking about the Word. And yesterday we talked we're talking about the Word of God in the Gospel of John, specifically the prologue, the first verses of chapter 1. And yesterday we talked about verse 1 of chapter 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And we talked about how this term Word in English comes from the Greek logos, which originates in the Hebrew word dabar, which means the matter at hand. What is going on? And the answer to ma dabar, what is going on, you give the dabar, the full explanation. And so the point that John is making is that to look at the Word of God, you see the full explanation of what God has asked from us and who, in some sense, God might himself be. Not in a platonic essential sense, because we don't even care about that stuff. But what is God asking from you and I? Now, today I want to roll into chapter 1, verses 4 and 5. I'm going to read them to you, and then we'll talk through them a little bit. And here we hear, "In him was life, and the life was the light of men. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." I love this. Now, often when you read these things, you think in terms of like this booming, shining, bright light that just illumines the whole world, almost as if you go out into the sunlight, outside in the daytime, and the sunlight is like everything's lit up. This is not what John is saying. Think about it more like this. Late in the middle of the night, when you have to get up to use the restroom because it's 2:30 in the morning, and what else would you want to do at 2:30 in the morning? And it's dark. And you got to stumble around down the hallway to go to the restroom. Sometimes, if you're not careful, you stub your toe, right? So in the old world, they would have lit a candle. Today, we might turn on the little, the light on our cell phone, right? The flashlight on the cell phone and, guide ourselves. It's in the midst of the darkness that has overcome, that is all powerful on the bathroom run in the middle of the night, that the candlelight fights against that and illumines the path for you. Do you understand it? It's not like the sun in the daytime. It's that the light is fighting in the midst of the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. This is exactly what John is meaning. I know it's this funny example, but the idea that John is saying is, look, in the midst of the darkness in the world, there is a light. And this light, it may not be as bright as the darkness is dark, but the darkness cannot overcome it. And the point that he's going to say to you and I as he continues this prologue, which we'll deal with the rest of this week, is this. Walk with the light. Like my silly example of using the restroom in the middle of the night. When you turn on the cell phone light or you light the candle, that flame is only gonna work for so long before a breeze comes and blows it out or the candle burns all the way down. So walk while you have that light. Don't let it escape. And in the midst of the darkness in the world in which you and I are existing as warrior saints, we see there's all kind of darkness all over the place, right? Like when we're teaching this particular lesson, I look out the window, the sun is shining bright, and it's beautiful out there. Beautiful, beautiful day. And yet, that ain't the darkness we're talking about, right? The darkness is just the chaos of the world in which we live. And ultimately, I think that chaos starts to create, it creates a war within each and every one of us, right? Where people are struggling to fight through that darkness, to find, life, right? Sanity, peace. What else? I mean, like, just to find a semblance of normalcy in our minds. I mean, those are the things that most of us crave so desperately. Yes, we need food and water and shelter, absolutely, but it's that higher level of peace on the inside that's war is being made against. And so we got to fight that. Like, we've got to follow that light and walk in the midst of the darkness that creates the chaos. Does that make sense? All right, so how do you do that kind of stuff? I mean, obviously, the answer to that question is that, and John is going to pose it to us, there's this guy Jesus, see, like we're going to talk about him in this gospel. You should be like him, right? Like he's the light in a dark world. He's the one who is the Word of God, the answer to the question, what is going on? When someone says, hey God, what do you want? You're going to see it in the person of Jesus in the stories of the Gospel of John, right? That's the one you have to follow. That's the one you have to walk after. And look, he's not going to a party. He's not going to a victorious, celebration after a battle a la the Roman emperors. No. He's going to Jerusalem, baby. And in Jerusalem, there's a thing called the cross. But in that, In that cross is where the might and the power of sin and death are crushed, and Christ is victorious. And that's the path that we're called to follow, which is why, as warrior saints, we always say, be crucifixional, right? So that's the light that you and I got to follow. We put together a plan, a battle plan here where you can, it teaches us how to follow Christ. But I want it to be clear in your mind, like, look, that's how I've got to live my life. In the midst of this chaos, in the midst of this darkness, as I struggle with the war within myself, how do I do it? You do it crucifixionally. That is, if you want to win, if you want to be exceptional, if you want to be Christ-like. We'll help you do that. Just join us. We're doing it. But I'm telling you, it works. I promise you it works. Love you. We'll be back tomorrow. As always, keep walking on the way of the warrior saint.